resilient infrastructure, which is also known as CDRI. Now, in the G20, a new working group on disaster risk reduction and resilient infrastructure has also been formed. On India's initiative, this year is being celebrated as the United Nations International Year of Millets. Under the G20, a new initiative has been undertaken to carry out research on superfood millets, which have been named Sri Anna, meaning the best among all food grains in India. This will help in making the global south capable of fighting against the concerns of food security that have emerged due to climate change and a lack of resources. For the first time ever in the G20, emphasis has been laid on sustainable and ocean based economy. This is extremely important for the small island developing countries of the global south, which I consider to be the large ocean countries. At the summit, important decisions have been taken for global value chain mapping and recognizing digital certificates. This will create new opportunities for the MSME sector and for trade in the countries of the global south. Excellencies, for global prosperity, we need to move forward together for the development of all. However, we can all see that new challenges are emerging due to the incidents in the West Asia. India has condemned the heinous terrorist attack conducted on Israel on the 7th of October. We have called for restraint as well as dialogue and diplomacy. We strongly condemn the death of civilians in the conflict between Israel and Hamas. After speaking with President Mahmoud Abbas, we have also sent humanitarian aid for the people of Palestine. This is the time when the countries of the global south must speak in one voice for the greater global good, for one earth, one family, one future. We must all move forward together with the guiding principles of the 5 C's. The 5 C's. When I say 5 C's, I mean consultation, cooperation, communication, creativity, and capacity building. Excellencies, at the first Voice of Global South Summit, I had proposed the establishment of a Center of Excellence for Global South. I am pleased that today, DAKSHIN, which stands for Development and Knowledge Sharing Initiative, Global South Center of Excellency, is being inaugurated today. During the G20 summit, I have proposed to launch a satellite by India for weather and climate monitoring for the global south. We are working on this expeditiously. Friends, with these thoughts, I end my statement, and now I am eager to listen to your views, and I'm very grateful to all of you for participating in such large numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to inaugurate Dakshin, the Global South Center of Excellence. Thank you, sir. I now invite the Prime Minister of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, Her Excellency Ms. Sheikh Hasina, to deliver her remarks.
Very much. Rahim. His Excellency Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Excellencies, Assalamu alaikum, Namaskar, and good morning to you all. I appreciate Prime Minister Narendra Modi for convening the second Voice of the Global South Summit 2023. I also thank him for constantly raising the voice of the Global South all through the G20 presidency. The theme of today's summit, Together for Everyone's Growth with Everyone's Trust, is most timely as it flags the pressing issue our world faces today, namely trust deficit. It is the trust deficit among nations and lack of respect for international law and have led to the ongoing war in Europe and the carnage in Palestine. These conflicts call for an urgent need to create genuine trust and mutual respect among the warring nations and involved international actors. Here, I express my profound concern at the tragic, inhuman existence of the helpless Palestinians in the face of merciless carnage. It is time for all of us to unite as one world and demand the end of the conflict. As it is, our world is plagued with unbearable poverty, undesirable inequality, intolerable terrorism, and the catastrophic threat of climate change. In addition, there have now appeared sanctions and counter-sanctions with new challenges and increasing hardship for the people of Global South. In this critical time, the world must unite as one and strengthen everyone's trust to achieve everyone's growth. Excellencies, the Global South is poised to play a pivotal role in shaping our future. However, we are often vulnerable to various socio-economic challenges. These need to be addressed by allowing more space and voice for the Global South to enable the creation of a more equitable and peaceful world based on everyone's trust. Bangladesh, in this regard, remains committed. Bangladesh stands ready to share with the Global South our experiences on achieving food security, free housing, community healthcare, women's empowerment, and climate adaptations. Here, I recommend the following for the betterment of global South and the world. First, as keen advocate of promoting peace, I believe it is vital to uphold global peace and stability for the overall well-being of humanity. The Global South must maintain a united front against unilateral sanction and counter-sanctions. Second, women, as half of the global population, are crucial for the creation of inclusive and vibrant societies. As the longest serving female leader I know for sure that empowering women is a strategic necessity for a brighter and more equitable future. Third, All efforts are vital to limiting the global temperature to 1.5% Celsius. Increased financial and the transfer of relevant technologies for climate adaptation to the global south are imperative. Fourth, the global south, as major manpower exporting countries, should streamline migration in the development process to offer a better life to all and to contribute to economic growth in both host and home countries. Fifth, LDCs are facing various economic challenges resulting from COVID 19 and conflicts in parts of the world. I urge here the continuation of duty, quota-free access and other facilities for a good period for graduating LDCs and after their graduation. Finally, I stress the importance of South-South and triangular cooperation for the promotion of global human development. I also urge development partners, international financial institutions, and stakeholders to generously support the Global South for a better future. I thank you all. Joy Bangla.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, His Excellency Abiy Ahmed Ali, to deliver his remarks.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to attend the inaugural leader session of the second Voice of Global South Summit. I wish to thank Prime Minister Narendra Modi for convening us, and I also take this opportunity to recognize the pivotal role he has played in championing the views, concerns, and interests of the countries of Global South, including as a group of 20. India's contribution at elevating the international position of developing countries is best expressed with the admission of the African Union as permanent member of the G20 during the September 2023 convening in New Delhi. Excellencies, we gather at a time of global political and economic complexity, which often places countries of the Global South in a risky position. Despite this complexity, we are emerging stronger and more resilient. Countries of Global South are becoming an important force of balance, reason, and peace in the international arena. While striving to become self-sufficient economies and societies, this increased role and growing importance of the Global South is an outcome of strengthened South-South cooperation. I wish to take this opportunity and note that Ethiopia has been a promoter of effective multilateralism, Pan-Africanism, and South-South cooperation. As a key member of the League of Nations, founding member of the United Nations, non-aligned movement, Peace 77 and African Union, Ethiopia shares the core values and priorities of the Global South. We stand ready to work in cooperation toward this strengthening the economic and political potential this cooperation offers. As we march forward in our individual quest for economic sovereignty and progress, continued coordination and cooperation is key in augmenting the voice of the Global South. Towards this end, I wish to make the following proposals. Firstly, let us deepen cooperation in revitalizing the Global South and its South-South cooperation mechanisms. Amongst our service, we find a lot of resources and immense potential that can be catalyzed for our collective growth through strengthened investments and cooperations. Let us begin to recognize this abundance and potential in our midst. Secondly, let us step up efforts in speaking with one voice on international issues of global importance, addressing global challenges, and bridging global polarization. Thirdly, let us promote our increased role in global economic affairs to close the development divide and enhance our representation in global economic governance. Fourth, let us capitalize on innovation and artificial intelligence so as to seize the opportunity of the global knowledge economy and close the technological divide. Excellencies, guided with the spirit of unity and solidarity, I am confident that by pooling collective material and the intellectual resources at our disposal, the Global South can contribute to a better, democratic, and prosperous future for all. I thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Honorable Sitiveni Ligamamada Rabuka, to deliver his remarks.
Esteemed delegates and leaders gathered at the Voice of the Global South Summit. As the Prime Minister of Fiji, representing a nation deeply committed to addressing the unprecedented food, fuel, and fertilizer crisis, my country recognizes the urgent need for strategic initiatives to secure our future. Our nation is particularly concerned about the impact on our agriculture sector, which is why we are charting a course to enhance sugarcane agriculture through the development of our ethanol option. By maximizing the potential of ethanol derived from sugarcane, we not only bolster our agricultural output, but also pave the way for a sustainable and resilient future. This initiative is not just about ethanol. It encompasses the optimization of efficient cane railway transportation and a concerted effort to reduce our reliance on aviation fuel imports. The recent Energy Ministers' session at the Voice of Global South Summit 2023, themed Energy Security and Development, a roadmap to prosperity, has provided an invaluable platform for generating ideas to achieve energy security that is affordable, accessible, and sustainable. It is through collaborative efforts that we can navigate the challenges that lie ahead. We extend our sincere gratitude to India for its inclusive, ambitious, and action-oriented G20 agenda. We appreciate India's commitment to utilizing the G20 presidency to amplify the voice of the Global South, emphasizing common concerns such as energy security, energy justice, and sustainable energy transition. India's pledge to insulate from extreme price volatility by diversifying supplies and promoting alternate energy sources like biofuels, ethanol, compressed biogas, and meeting energy targets through electronic vehicles and hydrogen is commendable. Fiji acknowledges and welcomes India's willingness to share experiences, best practices, and cutting-edge technology in the fields of biofuels, hydrogen, and solar. The offer of patented technology for an indoor solar cooking system is a testament to India's commitment to our shared development goals. The associated benefits of biofuels, solar, and initiatives like One Sun, One World, One Grid are immense. Fiji seeks the support of our partners in the Global South to create a global biofuel alliance under G20 and join the International Solar Alliance. This collaboration will strengthen our collective efforts in renewable energy, ensuring a more sustainable and secure future for all. The Voice of Global South Summit aligns with our vision for a unity of voice, unity of purpose. Together, through consultation with G20 countries and members of the Global South, we can shape a positive G20 agenda that addresses the pressing issues we face. Let us forge ahead, united, determined, and inspired by the shared goals that bind us together. I wish the summit all success. Vinakavalevu Bodhanibat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Joko Widodo, to kindly deliver his remarks.
Excellencies, today the humanitarian situation in Gaza has become increasingly concerning. More than 11,000 people have become victims, whereby the majority of them are women and children. However, unfortunately, the world seems to be unable to find a solution. As a fellow leader of the Global South, I invite all leaders to revive the Bandung spirit and to show our solidarity for Palestine. A ceasefire must be implemented immediately, humanitarian aid must be expedited and increased, and most importantly, the peace process must be restarted. Excellencies, the Global South must take up bigger responsibilities and a bigger role in global governance. This can be realized by two ways. First, by making leaps in development where developing countries can no longer be mere consumers and only rely on the export of raw materials. Developing countries must become global players and be part of the global supply chain. Second, through leadership in multilateral fora. 2/3 of United Nations member states are countries of the Global South. This is an important capital to fix the international order that takes the side of the voice and interests of the Global South, so that the Global South can play a central role in determining the direction and focus of the global agenda, including in creating world peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to kindly deliver his remarks.
Your Excellency, Right Honorable Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India. Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to express my sincere gratitude to the Prime Minister of India for convening us for this very important gathering following the highly successful and significant G20 summit, which was held in New Delhi in India this year in September. This year's G20 New Delhi summit was both historic and consequential, notably because it facilitated the admission of the African Union as a permanent member of this eminent group. Sincerely thank the leadership of Narendra Modi for facilitating this historic achievement. The lack of inclusivity in some multilateral processes has been the driving cause of global inequalities, inequities, and growing mistrust. G20's admission of Africa, a continent of over 1.3 billion people, was therefore a big step in the right direction. At the recent 78th United Nations General Assembly, my national statement, like many others, focused on the dysfunctional nature of our multilateralism. We are witnessing every day how the UN is becoming challenged for an unfair and iniquitous system. The same is the case for the global financial system, which is struggling with the prevailing financial and debt crisis now overwhelming the capacity of many developing countries to provide core services to its citizens. Many countries in Africa, for example, are spending more on debt servicing than on health. Presently, 23 African countries are either in moderate or high risk of fiscal distress. A new, reformed financial architecture is a necessity, and the global south must close ranks and push for a fairer international financial architecture. The situation is further compounded by high food and fuel prices, challenges with the balance of payments, currency deterioration, and emerging political conflict. This is why Africa and countries in the global south remain the most affected by the effects of climate crisis. The twin fiscal crisis of liquidity and solvency in sovereign states portend a difficult environment for investment and future growth. In 2 weeks, we are going to COP28 in Dubai. This is a most significant COP, given that we will be discussing the global stock take on how the world is performing towards the attainment of the Paris Agreement goals. Like the report on the midterm assessment of SDGs presented at UN General Assembly in September, the global stocktake, as well as the adaptation gap report released by UNEP a few days ago, all point to a reality of a world on a wrong trajectory. The magnitude and urgency of the interconnected challenges we all face require transformational changes and collective action. The Global South Coalition will play a most significant role in rallying our efforts, commitments, and aspirations in this direction. The solidarity of the Global South is therefore crucial more than ever to speak with one voice and push positive global financial and economic transition in harmony with nature, and to make Africa this time round a leader in technology development, technology use, and to use technology and digitization to leapfrog Africa, global south, into the global development stage. That was the message and the outcome of the inaugural Africa Climate Summit that Kenya hosted last September, where Africa put forward bold commitments and proposals for a more prosperous global world. I am confident this forum the voice of the Global South Summit can help in course correction that is needed. Let me commend Prime Minister Modi again for his steadfastness and convening of this inaugural summit. Excellencies, Kenya remains firm in our commitment to the South-South cooperation and the voice of Global South influencing global developments. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Kyrgyz Republic, His Excellency Mr. Sadar Nurgoyevich Zaparov, to deliver his remarks.
Dear Mr. Narendra Modi, dear heads of states, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the distinguished Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, for hosting this important summit and cordially greet all participants. The Kyrgyz Republic fully supports India's efforts to increase the world community's attention to the issues of sustainable development in the Global South. We share the assessment of the commonality of the problems of the entire world economy, and the developing countries of the world are an important and indivisible part of it. Modern challenges and threats related to food, energy, climate or military are common for all countries and for all continents without exception. Today the world is at a dangerous turning point, when we are faced with serious threats to international security, problems in establishing positive interaction and mutual assistance, interfaith and intercultural dialogue. This summit is aimed at uniting and integrating the countries of the Global South in solving our common problems in the field of development and security. This is extremely important in the context of conflicts and crises that are occurring today in different parts of our planet. Dear summit participants, the Kyrgyz Republic is a mountainous country in the heart of Central Asia that holds enormous reserves of clean hydropower and is actively promoting a green economy. Further, melting of glaciers and decline of water levels could worsen global and regional food instability, increasing poverty, migration, and inequality. Therefore, we pay special attention to the preservation of glaciers and mountain ecosystems, and advocate designated funding for the most vulnerable areas of developing mountainous countries, including through creation of a special fund under the auspices of the UN. In the end of my speech, I would like to express the hope that the current global challenges and risks, from the climate crisis and the threat to food security to growing inequality, will unite the international community without division into South and North. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Republic of Madagascar, His Excellency Mr. Richard Ravalo Manana, to deliver his remarks.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, heads of state, Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, distinguished participants. As acting head of state of the Republic of Madagascar, due to the ongoing presidential elections, I'm honored to be able to participate in this second Voice of Global South Summit. It's also an immense privilege for our country. First of all, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to the Indian Prime Minister, His Excellency Narendra Modi, for his invitation. At the same time, I congratulate the leadership of the Indian government for hosting and organizing these summits. It's truly a concrete illustration of the Indian philosophy of Vasudevaya Kutumbakam, where the world is one family. Indeed, at a time when we are welcomed by global crisis of kinds, it's important that we join hands and work together to find solutions to get us home. We have hope for the future, given that Madagascar still has great economic potential that has yet to be fully tapped. In particular, thanks to this summit, the voice and aspiration of countries of the South, which represent 3/4 of the world's population, can now be reported and heard at G20 level. Once again, I'd like to thank the Indian government for this approach and hope that it will develop further in the years to come. Madagascar was already able to take part in the first summit on January this year. For the second summit, we reiterate our support for the initiative with the aim of moving Madagascar forward toward achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, with priority given to SDG 7, use of renewable energies, 8, access to decent jobs, 13, combating climate change, and 16, justice and peace. As part of the implementation of Madagascar emergency plan, and with a view to releasing the strategic action around the 13 axes of effort of President Andra Dwell during his term of office. Over the past 5 years, we've undertaken numerous projects in the field of energy, health, and industrialization. In short, Madagascar has already overcome countless challenges, but we still have a long way to go to emerge from our precarious states. That's why we are launching an appeal for win-win funding for our development projects. We are in search of lasting partnerships to achieve effective result in promoting the industrialization and modernization of Madagascar. On another subject, I would like to take advantage of this summit to raise the issue of climate change, of which we are among the first victims, even though our net greenhouse gas emissions represent only 0.1% of global emissions. We would like the G20 to advocate on our behalf and increase in funding for the protection of our country's biodiversity, for development, and for the fight against climate change, in support of the various requests we've already made at different levels. Excellencies, the heads of state, Excellency, the Prime Minister, distinguished participants, I remain convinced that this initiative can make a significant contribution to building a prosperous and inclusive future for the world in general and for the countries of the South in particular. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Prime Minister of the Republic of Mauritius, Honorable Pravind Kumar Jagnnath, to deliver his remarks.
The Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Excellencies, Heads of Delegation, Namaste. I would like to thank the Government of India for inviting Mauritius to participate in the Leaders' Session of the Second Voice of Global South Summit. As we continue to witness waves of uncertainty, the timing of this present session is more than opportune. Indeed, drawing from the very successful and positive outcome of the New Delhi G20 Leaders Summit, it provides us a window of opportunity for our voice of the Global South to be heard. As we gather today to discuss the changes within the existing global governance architecture, with the objective of leaving no one behind, it is essential that the reform agenda places a stronger focus on the most vulnerable countries, in particular the small island developing states. It is useful to remind that small island developing states, which contribute less than 1% to global greenhouse gas emissions, are the most heavily impacted countries by the scourge of climate change. And Mauritius is highly climate vulnerable. Recently, we had to grapple with heavy rainfalls, which in turn caused acute flash floods and damage to infrastructure as well as to property. As the cyclone season in the Indian Ocean has just started, we can only hope that Mauritius and other island states will be spared from the devastating effects. Mauritius has pledged to achieve 60% of renewable energy production by 2030. Addressing the set target would require significant financial resources, notwithstanding our low carbon footprint. Climate finance, which was amongst others, designed to reduce vulnerability while increasing resilience, fails to accommodate the unique needs of SIDS. There is a need for climate justice, given the existential threat of global warming. Instead of GDP per capita, climate vulnerability could be the criterion for easy access to concessional climate finance. We commend the Indian presidency of the G20 for its laudable efforts towards recognizing, for the first time, the vulnerabilities of SIDS in the New Delhi G20 Leaders Declaration. Likewise, Mauritius supports the declaration made by African countries at the inaugural Africa Climate Summit that was held in Nairobi in September 2023, calling for the implementation of the Loss and Damage Fund. However, we regret the absence of consensus, and more particularly on the domiciliation of the fund. Mauritius believes that the quick implementation of the Loss and Damage Fund is crucial. Excellencies, collectively we can take bold and ambitious measures to change the destiny of our planet for our present and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Republic of Nauru, His Excellency Mr. David Adeng, to deliver his remarks, please.
His Excellency Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. At the outset, I would like to thank His Excellency Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, Government of India, for convening this second voice of the Global South Summit. Prime Minister Modi has time and again demonstrated his commitment to empowering developing countries to pursue their national development priorities. In this regard, I would like to congratulate the Prime Minister on their very successful presidency of the G20, and further to thank him for placing the challenges of the Global South at the center of discussions. Let me take this opportunity to extend deep gratitude to the Government of India for their continuous support to the Republic of Nauru in addressing our country's critical issues. We are committed to fulfilling our commitments and ensuring the implementation of the pledges. While geopolitics conflicts have rightfully been the focus of the world's attention, we should not let them overshadow the enormity of the G20 outcome, which went straight to the root of our challenges today, the global financial system. It is uncontroversial, indeed almost cliche, to say that financial investment needs to be better directed toward climate and sustainable development priorities. However, there has been little movement toward structural reform of the prevailing system. The G20 outcome changes that. Through India's leadership and skilled diplomacy, the 20 most powerful governments in the world agree that changes must be made to our financial institutions, and the unsustainable debt burdens of developing countries must be tackled head-on. This is absolutely critical for a vulnerable Pacific Island nation like Nauru, where our long-term viability rests on the ability to make critical investments in basic, climate-resilient infrastructure. Nauru is caught in a trap. We are a little too wealthy to qualify for significant development aid, but too poor to fund it ourselves. All of our economic metrics are heavily skewed by an enormously inflated cost of living due to our geographical isolation and dependence. As of today, Nauru is completely disqualified from accessing money of any kind from the World Bank. And while we wait for global pledges for climate and development finance to be fulfilled, we nonetheless continue to service our unsustainable debt burden rather than making investments in our country and in our people. This situation is compounded by a pressing banking crisis in our country. We are actively exploring new avenues for banking services to address this critical financial situation. For these reasons, I must applaud India for placing the issue of financial reform at the center of G20 discussions, and I implore all countries to not allow this issue to disappear on the political radar once again. The G20 made one other landmark decision under India's presidency by granting a seat to Africa. Nauru applauds this move wholeheartedly and would urge members to provide greater opportunities for engagement by small island developing states at the G20 as well. As the President of Nauru, I bring to this platform my government's commitment for sustainable collaboration to set a stage for a future of unity and trust. The theme today, together for everyone's growth with everyone's trust. We stand united with the larger community of nations in forging a future with shared prosperity and unwavering trust. May God bless the Forum and Pacific Islands Cooperation, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Prime Minister of the independent state of Papua New Guinea, Honorable James Marape, to deliver his remarks.
Let me say firstly, thank you very much, His Excellency Prime Minister Modi, for your continuous hospitality to not just Papua New Guinea, but the Global South. Our country still remembers you very, very well. You were so gracious to visit us 21st of May this year, in which you and me hosted this wonderful meeting for leaders of the South Pacific countries. All Pacific Island countries did show up, giving respect to yourself, and for us to have conversation on climate change mitigations, how to relieve the developing nations on the burdens as a result of imported inflation, poverty alleviation, and a wide range of things in which You led your country to offer assistance to the South Pacific Island countries in simple but more effectively poverty alleviation development partnership programs that you did assure Pacific Island countries like desalination, clean energy, and the help to the underprivileged. I just want to commend your leadership. Thank you for once again being a strong advocate for the Global South, your second summit that you're hosting for the Global South nations, entitled Voice of the South for Human-Centric Development, is hugely commented. India has emerged under your watch as the leading nation of the Global South. And I just want to continue on encouraging you to be a strong advocate for those of us who are emerging as emerging in the developing nations perspective. And I want to put one pointer here. Whilst industrialization may have been the cause of climate change in the last 100 years, I want to also throw into this picture, going forward, it will be really poverty. Poverty that will be a major force in the underprivileged people in developing nations as well as in advanced nations, all trying their best to survive in planet Earth. And so sharing the wealth, supporting each other, ensuring all nations grow into developed states must be the work of all nations, supporting each other side by side. And I want to thank you for hosting this summit once again, encouraging all of us to think about helping each other. India being the biggest democracy amongst developing nations, you have taken leadership. I want to commend your own leadership, Prime Minister Modi. Papua New Guinea remembers your gracious words when you visited us, and we're still very fond of you and looking forward to visiting India early next year. But I want to, at this juncture, say thank you for hosting a second summit in as far as the Global South conversations are concerned. This follows on from your strong leadership in the host of G20 also this year. I want to personally commend you for your strong leadership on the global stage as a global statesman. Keep on playing this role and your advocacy for developing nations. The Global South is not here. And I want to conclude by commending Prime Minister Modi. You're a global senior statesman. You've led India very, very well. You've hosted G20 and the world came to you. You're now hosting the second conference or summit for the Global South. The world is coming to you again. Remain firm in your leadership. Let's find solutions for the underdeveloped countries, the developing countries, the Global South, to also find a place in the family of nations. We belong to one humanity. The world must think preserving humanity first, then thinking parochial, thinking small, thinking inward, thinking on a country-to-country level. We must think about preserving our global village, our one humanity, as we work into the future. Climate change, with war, with all sorts of issues facing us, food insecurity, energy insecurity, insecurity due to global weather pattern changes. The world must think one. Humanity must think one. And I appreciate India, Prime Minister of India, His Excellency Prime Minister Modi. You lead 1.4 to 5 billion people. Your continued advocacy for those of us who are developing nations is noted. We're really behind your call for progress and human-centric development, embracing all people, irrespective of religion, irrespective of race, irrespective of status. We must think humanity, and I want to place my greatest appreciation for your continued leadership in this space. To all our Global South, let's put our people first wherever we are placed as far as leadership is concerned. God bless you all. Greetings from Papua New Guinea.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Prime Minister of the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Kassim Majaliwa, to kindly deliver his remarks.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished delegates. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and congratulations to you all for taking part in the second Voice of Global South Summit. Our Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of United Republic of Tanzania, apologizes for her absence due to other equal national commitments, and I bring to you her warm greetings. I want to acknowledge and I thank Your Excellency Honorable Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, for hosting this summit and for India's exceptional G20 presidency in 2023, which laid the foundation of this important gathering. Excellencies, the theme of this summit, Together for Everyone Growth, with Everyone Trust, is particularly relevant in our complex and uncertain global landscape. The global economy is highly interconnected, although we are witnessing significant economic inequalities between nations and individuals, especially in the global south. By uniting our efforts, we can overcome obstacles and achieve inclusive sustainable development. Excellencies, in line with the theme of this summit, the government of Tanzania would like to commend the following. First, the Global South should invest in climate solutions to achieve sustainable development. Second, the global community should focus on ensuring more equal and evenly distribution of international trade benefits. Thirdly, reforming the global financial architecture is crucial for the Global South in the changing global economy. Fourthly, re-evaluating the supermajority voting rule that has allowed the United Nations spirit of veto to spread in Bretton Woods institution for inclusive financial diplomacy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I would like to express my appreciations to the organizers for their meticulous planning and execution of this summit. Thanks to everyone for your presence, contributions, and commitment to the idea of unity, growth, and trust. Your involvement in this summit will shape policies and action that drive positive change in our nations and the global community. Let us continue working together to create a prosperous future for the global South. Asante sana. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Mr. Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., to deliver his remarks.
I'm happy to join you as you hold the second Voice of Global South Summit. I admire the efforts of the organizers and stakeholders in holding this event that brings together leaders of developing countries to address the challenges hampering the progress of our nations. May the second Voice of Global South Summit lead us towards creating data-driven initiatives, forging stronger partnerships, and fostering innovations and technologies with our key partners. Let this event also attest to our collective resolve to transform the lives of our peoples, especially the marginalized, and harness their contribution to the realization of our development goals. Know that the Philippines is ever united with the global community in nurturing equitability, inclusivity, and sustainability amongst our societies and our economies. I wish everyone a productive summit and success in all your noble pursuits. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Chief Advisor of the Interim Government of Kingdom of Bhutan, His Excellency Chogyal Dago Rinzing, to deliver his remarks.
His Excellency Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, distinguished leaders of the Global South, ladies and gentlemen, It's an honor and privilege for me to participate in the second edition of the Voice of Global South Summit today. I'd like to express my appreciation to Government of India for the invitation and for hosting this very timely summit. In passing, I would like to take this opportunity to inform this esteemed gathering that Bhutan is in election period, conducting its fourth parliamentary elections. The third government completed its 5-year term on 31st October 2023. As per our constitution, His Majesty the King appointed an interim government. I am currently serving as the head of interim government, joined by 8 advisors overseeing administrative functions and ensuring that elections are conducted smoothly. The primary round poll day will be on 30th November 2023 and the general election on 9th January 2024. The results of the elections shall be announced on the respective poll days itself. Excellencies, I wish to acknowledge and express my appreciation to His Excellency Prime Minister Modi for his personal efforts in providing the countries of the Global South the much-needed platform to exchange views, sharing priorities, and make suggestions on a wide range of global matters. This is important because despite accounting for 3/4 of the world's population and bearing the brunt of many global challenges, our concerns are hardly acknowledged. We are confident in India's leadership to help bring a new world order that promotes the welfare of all citizens of the Global South, an international framework that addresses our diverse needs and priorities and ensures our active participation and representation in the global arena. As Prime Minister Modi emphasized at the first edition of the Voice of Global South Summit, it's imperative for the global agenda to be aligned with the concerns of Global South. In this era of unprecedented challenges and opportunities, Bhutan stands in solidarity with the nations of Global South in the pursuit of equitable and inclusive growth for our people. Our shared vision is one where the benefits of development are accessible to all, regardless of geographic location or economic status. Excellencies, speaking of shared world, Bhutan has been affected by extreme weather conditions and faces increasing threats from the effects of climate change. Our glaciers are melting rapidly, and at this rate, we risk permanently losing our water resources, which are so vital for socio-economic developments. Even as we are committed to remaining carbon neutral and fulfilling commitments under the Paris Agreement, there is need to mobilize more climate financing for mitigation and adaptation, as well as for sustainable energy. We welcome the efforts made during the G20 summit last September regarding climate action and financing. We are also hopeful that 20th session of the Conference of Parties will deliver the breakthrough agreement to provide loss and damage funding for vulnerable countries to overcome the common threat. Excellencies, we welcome the theme of this summit, Together for Everyone's Growth with Everyone's Trust. Sabke Saath, Sabke Vikas, Sabke Vishwas. This encapsulates the essence of our collective mission for an action-oriented approach to achieving the common goal of growth and prosperity for all. We also recognize that trust forms the cornerstone of this journey as we build enduring partnerships and collaboration among communities and nations. In Bhutan, we fully understand and value the concepts of trust and unity. As a nation committed to the philosophy of gross national happiness, we understand that the well-being and happiness of our people are intrinsically linked to global harmony and cooperation. Excellencies, I join the nations assembled here today in affirming our dedication to the leaders of Global South to amplify our voices and perspectives and to work together to build a more equitable, just, and prosperous world for all. Let's nurture an environment of trust, respect, and cooperation where we recognize that our collective strength lies in our unity. To conclude, I would like to express my deepest appreciation once again to Shri Narendra Modi ji and the Government of India for their dedication and guidance in elevating our influence on the international platform. Thank you and Tashidele.
Thank you, Excellency. I would now request the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to deliver the concluding remarks of this session of the second Voice of Global South Summit.
Excellencies, all of you have shared your views in detail regarding several important topics. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all. We all want a peaceful, safe, and harmonious future for the world. And therefore, in these challenging times, it is important that cooperation and coordination is maintained between us. I believe that with our collective efforts, we can make global governance even more inclusive and progressive. Today, 9 other sessions of the Voice of Global South Summit on various topics are being conducted. I'm confident that all of these sessions will further strengthen our commitment for the Global South and human-centric development, and that concrete priorities for our cooperation will also be identified. Once again, I thank you all for your valuable contribution. We will keep in touch in the coming times and continue our dialogue to serve the interests of the Global South. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. With this, we conclude this session. Thank you, Dhanyavad, and Namaste.